Next, we're going to extend the properties of limits to talk about limits of polynomial functions. To discuss the limit of the polynomial function, I put a simple quadratic equation / function up here that we're going to use the properties of limits to actually determine how to come up with the limit. So this is a whole bunch of sums and differences and products and powers. So we're going to rewrite this using the property of limits. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to break each of the sums and differences up, and I'm going to write this as the limit as x approaches a of 3x squared minus the limit as x approaches a of 2x plus the limit as x approaches a of 4. Well, we have some properties that we can use to simplify this. The first one is this is a constant times a function, so we're going to pull that constant out. And this is a power, and we know what the limit of a power is. So we can rewrite this as 3 times the limit as x approaches a of x raised to the second power. This is a constant times a function, so I'm going to pull the constant out in front. So it's minus 2 times the limit as x approaches a of x. And this is the limit of a constant, which is just that constant. And from our basic properties of limits, we know that the limit as x approaches a of x is just substituting that into there. So my final answer is going to be 3a squared minus 2a plus 4. And you should notice that this resembles our original function, except where I have an x, I have an a. What this says that if you have a polynomial function, if you want to evaluate the limit of a polynomial function as x approaches a number, all you have to do to evaluate that limit is substitute that number in for x and just do normal evaluation. For example, the limit of x approaches 2 of my original function, I just evaluate it at the value of 2. 2 squared is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. Negative 2 times 2 is negative 4, plus 4. 4 minus 4 is 0, so my final answer is 12. So you may ask yourself, well, when can I use the right-hand side and just stick the number in? If you're just asked to find the limit of a polynomial function, feel free to stick the number in for your variable and evaluate it. If you are asked on a test or a quiz to use the property of limits to evaluate the limit of a polynomial function, then you will work yourself through all of these steps. And if it was with the number 2, everywhere that I have an A written on these things, you would have actually put the number 2 in, and then your final answer would have been 12. So read the questions carefully, and if it says using properties of limits, you're going to do the work like the left-hand side. And if it just says to evaluate the limit, you're going to do the work on the right-hand side. By extension, a rational function, which is a polynomial function divided by another polynomial function, because we now can find the limit of a polynomial function just by substituting the value that I'm approaching into it. You can do substitution in for rational functions as long as you don't get 0 in the denominator. Okay? So my first step that I would do is basically for any function, if I want to ask to find the limit, is substitute the value in to see if you get something reasonable. Things that you may get that aren't reasonable are 0 over 0, or some constant over 0, or some function over 0. If you have any of these cases or other cases that don't make sense, then you'll actually have to go through the limit process or use some of the tools that I'm going to give you in the next couple of videos.